Welcome to the CookUp. And today we have a very special guest, someone who we call a cultural icon because he has been on the cultural scene for some time now. And this guest crosses two domains: the domain of oral traditions and expressions, and the domain of performing arts, with elements including poetry, storytelling, singing, and theatrical characters, or he's also an actor. And my name is Alicia Daniel Blake, and I am the Research and Communications Officer at Cultural Heritage. And if you missed any of our previous shows, you can find us on Facebook at SKN space ICH, on YouTube at St. Kitts Culture, and on Instagram at Cultural Heritage SKN. So check us out and do stay for the rest of our show because believe me, the pot sweet. Now, our assistant chef today is a creative at heart who performed in the cultural arts up until today. So he's presently performing. This cultural icon is none other than Creighton Pencheon. Welcome, Mr. Pench.
Thank you for having me, Alicia. It's a pleasure to be here to
Yes.
share.
Yes, indeed. And we know that you do that quite a bit. So we'll begin with a clip showing you sharing one of your poems.
It is the sound that you hear when Johnny gets drunk and he staggers home on a wing and a prayer. With a tank full of Hammond, he missed a step going across the dam, and he fell face down like a body slam. Brigidim bragadam, brigidim bram. Yes. Yes. It is the sound that you hear when we shake our head up and down in the affirmative. We simply say without uttering a word.
Now, Mr. Pension, those are our expressive interjections. It's our interesting way of making a sound to suit anything. Why write a poem about that?
Because I thought it is so, we use these expressive interjections and onomatopoeias unconsciously. It's just a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
Blukutum bloom. Brigidim bram.
Brigidim Ram.
Bram. Boop. And they're so colorful. They're so colorful. They add such a colorful flavor to our language and the way we express ourselves as Kittitians and Nevisians.
Yes. So how do you come up with your topics in general?
Boy, I listen to people a lot. And I always carry around a notebook where if I hear somebody express an expression that I like, I would make a note of it. For example, I turn to this page in the book here. I heard somebody say the other day, "Your face long like 6:30." You know, and so that is thing. Then they say, "Trouble set up like rain, I come." You know, those kind of expressions, I hear them and I make a note of them, and they give me ideas, and so that is how I listen to people, I observe people, and this is where I get my inspiration to write things like this, and it's entertaining and it's education at the same time.
Lovely. Now, speaking of writing, you once worked at the Department of Culture, and there you compiled some of our local sayings. Give us some samples of these, and why did you choose to compile them?
Because I thought that the local sayings, or what we call the local proverbs, play such an important role in in our community. As a matter of fact, local sayings were used as social sanctions. Social sanctions. They were used to caution and for punishment. For example, when you misbehave or if you start following idle company and so on, parents would say, if you can hear by the cracking of the whip, you're going to hear by the tolling of the bell.
Oh.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And fall was sleep a roost, no hard to catch. So you could run up and down as much as you could. You have to come home. And our parents and those, them, they never used to forget. As a matter of fact, they used to put up a beating for you. Okay, and when you least expect, sometimes they will wake you up and administer punishment.
Oh my.
Yes.
So why did you think it was important to compile these?
Because I thought that it's part of our language. It's part of our language. Some of us still use them as part of our daily conversation with one another. For example, you say, boy, follow us. You say, you never see fall bottom until wind blow. Only when something happens, you know how people think.
Or the true nature of
Or
someone.
or something that is, or you never know that this happened until it is exposed.
Yes.
Until it is exposed. And so these local sayings is such an important part of our language, our local vernacular, as I say.
Indeed. Now, that takes some observation and research. Is there any other type of research that you have done? You said that you would take notes of, daily life conversations and so forth. Any other type of research that you have done?
Yes, I would research superstitions, all the tales and legends and myths and so on.
That's why you're so good at zombie stories.
Yes, yes. Yes, when you see green grasshopper in the house, it's something, it's danger. Something is about to happen. Okay, when pigs start to dance and so on, rain, something is about either rain or storm or something gonna come. And for example, you don't sweep out your house at after 6 o'clock, and those kind of things.
Yes.
There's a thing when you're leaving the cemetery, you must throw 3 stones over your head
Wow.
back, so that the spirits wouldn't follow you.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so these some of them, for example, was scientific. When you see cockroaches start to fly around in your house, and in those days, I don't know if people, well, we're so modern, I don't know if you still have cockroaches in our houses and so on.
Yes, that's still there.
But when you see cockroaches start fly around in your house, you could bet your sweet life that rain is coming. So it's as if the insects, they had a way of sensing, in tune with nature.
Yes.
And so it was not these superstitions and so on, or and thing, were part and parcel. They were scientific.
Yes, and it's how they would know things. For example, when
Yeah.
hurricanes and
Yeah.
things like that were
Yeah.
coming, because they didn't have Weather Channel at that
Yes.
time,
Yeah.
right? So they had to figure out by observing animals and so forth. Now, when it comes to calypso, let's switch gears a little bit. What is your role in that? Because I know you're right.
I started off singing calypso for many years under the sobriquet of the Mighty Crusader, and I think everybody would know perhaps the most popular one. There's no El Dorado out there. You know, and then after I retired, well, I am never retired. So after I decided not to compete anymore, I decided to write, write for other Calypsonians, and I have had a long-standing relationship with the King Astro in Nevis for over 27 years.
Lovely.
Yeah, so.
Now, Mr. Pencheon, we are going to be right back, and CookUp connoisseurs, we have something special in store for you, so don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back.
It's been 6 months now and Glenn hasn't been working. His attitude has completely changed and he's been leaving the house every day for hours and liming with his friends and coming home drunk and causing confusion.
Gloria, this is what you cook today? This is not enough food for a big man like me.
But Glenn, it's been 6 months now. You haven't given me any money to shop for food.
Okay, so what you want me to do if my boss ain't call me out for work as yet?
Look for a different job now.
What you just said to me?
Get a next job.
What?
Help! Let me go!
Let go what? Yeah, let's see what really happened. Let go what? Watch him out with me now.
Every weekend mom and dad fight. When are they going to stop?
Domestic violence is not just physical, it's mental, emotional, economical, and psychological. If you, your friend or family member is being abused, you can contact one of the numbers listed below for help. Department of Gender Affairs 662-5492, Special Victims Unit 662-7077, Counseling Unit 465-5000. This message was brought to you by the Department of Gender Affairs in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and the Pan American Health Organization. Welcome back, CookUp connoisseurs, and we are going to continue on with our cultural icon, Creighton Pencheon, and let's have a quick look at this clip, and then that special thing that I promised you is going to be happening.
4 days now I fishing and nothing at all to show for it. You people polluting the rivers, cutting down trees, and all this soil and rubbish end up in the sea.
Yeah, sir. All I did was clear more land to plant more food. So, Kadima.
We need to strike a balance, my friend. Right now, the sea is polluted, the coral reefs are dying, and soon the tourists would not come.
Well, you have a point.
You've got mail.
Wait, I've got agri-mail.
Papa George is right. There can be sustainable use of our natural resources. That's what the St. George's Declaration is about.
No, Mr. Pencheon, that was you as Papa George. You revealed to me that you created that character. So you were not just a performer. Somebody else didn't write the script for you and you performed it. No, you created the character. Tell me about Papa George.
Papa George was created out of a need for a character who would capture the attention of the community as it relates to environmental degradation, and there was a program back in the, I think it's the 90s, undertaken, sponsored by OAS in collaboration with the Ministry of Environment, and they wanted to create a character. They were concerned about sand mining, littering on the beach, destruction of the coral, deforestation, and that kind of thing. And so I thought this character was a composite of two characters who I know in real life. One of them they call Solus, and another one was Nasty Prince. And these were beachcombers. they used to scrounge the beach, and they would get things thrown overboard like ropes and so on, and buoys, and they would scrounge the beach every day, and they would find them. They were also turtle catchers as well. And they used to dress in a kind of with ropes tied all around them, and their 3/4 pants and the kind of thing. And so I created the character. It was a composite of those two characters, and they were charismatic. They always draw attention, those two characters. And so I was able to create the character, and they were wise old men,
Right.
you know.
So Papa George was a conservationist.
Yes.
And he also helped to bring to light some of the practices, as you just
Yes.
noted, that not only affected one island in the Caribbean, but several, as in the case that we just saw.
Yes, actually, this was a collaboration with an organization in St. Lucia.
Okay.
In St. Lucia.
Nice.
Who had some similar concerns.
Good.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of when we became environmentally conscious as a region.
Yes.
But we have to pause on that one because connoisseurs, Mr. Pencheon is going to give us a little taste of some of the folk songs of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Okay. I chose this one because we've heard Harry Belafonte made it popular. We've heard other countries trying to claim it, but it was composed and sung by the late Dr. Croft, who is a Kittitian, and as a matter of fact, he I think I could find newspaper clippings where he entered a competition in Trinidad because he used to be living in Trinidad at one time, and we entered a competition with Jumbie Jamboree.
Okay, lovely.
Okay,
Let's
so I'll
hear
do
it.
Jumbie Jamboree. There was a Jumbie Jamboree in a Kittitian cemetery. A Jumbie Jamboree in a Kittitian cemetery. Jumbies from all parts of the island. Some of them were dead calypso, and as the season was carnival, they get to bed in a Jumbie bacchanal, and you hear them back to back, belly to belly. I don't give a damn, I done dead already. Back to back, belly to belly with the Jumbie Jamboree. The Jumbie, she won't behave. Look how she jumping up on the grave. In one hand she had some rope, and she beating Congo drum. The lead singer, he started to rhyme. Everybody followed in time. A bystander had this to say: look how them Jumbies breaking away, and they singing back to back, belly to belly. I don't give a damn, I done dead already. Back to back, belly to belly with the Jumbie Jamboree.
Wonderful. So you gave us the background of that song and the inspiration. Are folk songs important to our culture?
Definitely, definitely. Not only as entertainment, but for education at the same time. Because folk song told about the life and lore of a people, of the community. And so these folk songs capture life of a people, their superstition, their beliefs system, all the superstition surrounding this one in particular about Jumbies. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Pencheon. And CookUp connoisseurs, we'll be right back, so don't you go anywhere.
What's up with you? Girl, you look like you're off in dreamland. Focus.
Focus. It's Valentine's season. Love is in the air. You not here? So Dave said he loved me and I have 24 hours to respond. I'm thinking about what I'm going to say.
That doesn't need telling. When he say I love you, you simply say I love me too.
What's that? And who even does that?
I do.
Me too.
I love me too simply means I love me enough to make myself a priority. And it starts with making wise decisions.
This Valentine's, I choose to abstain and to protect my name.
This Valentine, I choose education now, and this is my solemn vow.
I choose to keep my virginity and maintain my dignity.
Wise choice, because saying yes to him is saying no to you. I choose self-respect over self-neglect.
Okay, I get it now. I love myself too. This Valentine, Dave can keep his love. At this point in life, I choose self-love. For learning to love oneself is the greatest love of all.
Hey baby, you know I love you, right?
I love me too.
CookUp connoisseurs, welcome back. We have with us cultural icon Creighton Pencheon. Mr. Pencheon, you also served as the director of culture. Now, what would you say was your goal in that position, and did you achieve it?
Cultural preservation, because when I became director of culture, there was a waning, there was people had begun to lose interest in the folklore, and in terms of our history and traditions and so on, people were not conscious. So my job, one of my main objectives was to begin to create awareness among our people. So I came up with this program called Under Banyan Tree, where it involved quite a lot of research into our local history and culture. And of course, Tambor was the one who was the face of the program. Of the program. Mm-hmm. And so, it served to educate the population of people used to look forward to Under Banyan Tree.
Yes. He was later joined by Marlene Phillips.
By Marlene Phillips, yeah.
Yes.
And of course, first and foremost, we decided that we were going to do a lot of training, and we were high on that, training and research. As a matter of fact, I started out at the Department of Culture as the research and documentation specialist until I became director and Marlene took over. Yes. So there was a heavy emphasis on research and documentation and and cultural preservation.
Nice.
Especially of the folk street theater.
Yes. Yeah. We see it, and we are the beneficiaries, and we continue the work. Do you have any advice on how we can safeguard our traditional culture?
In the discussion before we started, I was telling you that I'm getting tired because I've been doing storytelling and being involved in this business of culture for over 40 years, or going on 50 years. And I realized that we would like to feel as though this is a living tradition, but it's really not. Things like storytelling and so on is a living tradition. And I find that children, in order to reach the next generation, we have to use the technology that is available to us. Children are glued to technology. It has become part and parcel of our daily lives and the way we function, even the way we function. Mm-hmm. And so, as a result, we don't gather on moonlight nights on the back step anymore to tell the stories because we have other forms of entertainment. And so I believe we need to capture these stories, these folk songs, and make them presentable, and so that children, more appealing to children, so that children can gravitate to them.
So you're basically saying we have to meet them where they are
Yes.
in order to get
Yes.
them this message.
Yes.
Yes, because
As a matter of fact, I've already begun to do some of that, because I remember doing some zombie stories and ring games with UNESCO, and for a project that they were undergoing, and they were shown on ZIZ, and children were so enthused by them.
Yes, and very shortly we'll be asking you to help us with some of that as well at our cultural heritage. Now, CookUp connoisseurs, let's get a quick update on some of the activities that are happening at Cultural Heritage. Welcome to de-seasoning mix. Now, you know, when you have a pot, you have to make sure that it's well flavored. You have the correct amount of salt, not too much pepper. You know what I mean? So this is the seasoning mix. Our next We Village That takes place at Challengers Stone Fort. And this happens on Wednesday, June 18th. This year, of course. And we are going to be having a community gathering where we uplift that community at Challengers Stone Fort, and it starts at 5 p.m. So if that is your community, make sure you come on out and see who will be honored, as well as we also highlight 2 young persons in that community who are doing things in the arts as well. So come to Challengers on June 18th to see what we have in store in community upliftment. We are also going to be having the launch of our Swank on Friday, June 20th, in Minister Duggan's conference room. That is on Port Zante, and we'll have more details coming for you in terms of the time, etc. And our theme is Quench Your Thirst for Sweet Cultural Music. And your composition can be in any genre. So you can sing calypso, like Mr. Pencheon, or you can sing rap, you can sing reggae, you can sing dancehall, you can sing our own cultural music, anything. But it has to contain elements of our culture. So the lyrics have to speak about things, as Mr. Pencheon said, that we do in our lifestyle. So look out for that, and all of the details, including the rules, the guidelines in how you can compete. Stay tuned. You can do so by going to our social media, which I'm going to highlight at the end. We also are going to be doing our griot storytelling event. I mentioned to Mr. Pencheon that we'll be seeking him very soon for that, for one of our griot in our griot series. This one, however, we are going to be having at the Oasis at Wingfield Manor. So what we have done is we have tried to find persons who know about the history in particular of that area. So we have Maurice Widdowson, who is going to be talking about Wingfield Estate, and Beto Douglas. Stay tuned for Beto Douglas. She made maps in the legal system that is now recorded in Britain about how she was able to pay for the freedom of her children. So let's hear about that. And then Christine Walwyn will be talking about Wingfield Manor. Leonard Stapleton will be talking about the Kalinago massacre, because, you know, that is in close to where we have the Bloody Point there. So that's something you need to check out. And Keisha Isaac Adams is going to be having Children's Corner. The children will learn about storytelling, learn the story, well, listen to the stories, and receive prizes for the best storyteller. Last grill was at Chadwell, and that was exciting. And we're looking forward to that. And so, Mr. Pencheon, any last words that you would like to say in terms of how we can do our utmost in terms of individuals to promote our culture?
I more research into well, we have done, the Department of Culture has done quite a lot of research as part of the Intangible Cultural Heritage project. But rather than having all that body of information lying in situ, as I term it, I think we need to take some of that material and put it in a form that can educate our population, because we like to research, we like to document, but very often all that body of information sits there until it is in a format that you cannot use it. You cannot use it because the Department of Culture, I've had the benefit of being the director of the culture, and I know that we have collected tons and tons of videos of various aspects of our culture. And some of them will have to be converted if you want to use them.
Yes,
a lot of it is in those mini DVs and that kind of thing. And so I believe that is one of the downsides for me. And so more has to be done in terms of getting that information and getting people to access that information.
Agreed.
That information.
Agreed.
And I really wanted to make that point because we have so much information, I mean, just lying there. Yeah, and not being used.
Agreed. And you'll be happy to know that that consultation that you attended, we are just about wrapping up our ICH policy. And so the action plan is going to be coming very shortly, and it will include some of those elements that you have spoken about. Definitely, it needs to get out. That information needs to get out. So CookUp connoisseurs, thank you very much for staying with us. We had our cultural icon with us, and he was able to tell us some of the gems that he has pertaining to how he produces his work and how we ourselves can therefore do our best to perpetuate our own culture. So thank you very much for staying with us. And remember, together we can safeguard our living heritage.